around the corner?
Great questions. Those are great questions, and nobody knows. I find it funny that colleges can do no preseason and hit the ground rolling, and the pros have to have 4 preseason games, money, and now they're going to have 2 preseason games, money, and then no one knows what's really going to happen if they're going to be able to pull the season off. And honestly, they have 72 players that tested positive for COVID, for the devil. So if you look at it like this, there's 55 men on a roster, 55 or 53 men on a roster. So basically, all of the Cardinals, that whole team would be out. If you just took it in practical terms, they would be completely out. And then if they're completely out, add 17 players from another team. Well, you got to get that under control. The good thing for them is it's a ways out. Some of the players are asymptomatic, so we don't know how that's going to impact. I'm just curious to see, unlike UFC, unlike boxing, where you have a card and you have several events, and if someone tests positive, they're just pulled off the card, and you have other things going on. They're checked. They're on an island or in a city or in something. I got to see how they do this in football, where you have to practice through the week, and you have to go. You're going to have to go home, and you're going to have to be around people that are going to be around people, and then you got to come back and you got to play. And I'm not saying this to be flippant, but quarterbacks sell football. They sell the league. That's why other leagues fail, because they don't have recognizable quarterbacks that people want to watch. What happens if there's a game between the Texans and the Chiefs and Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson both come down with COVID? And let's say they're asymptomatic, so luckily for them, they won't go through all the bad things, but they're quarantined for 2 weeks. How does that help your game? And I don't think they figured out all the answers to what they're going to do in those situations, because the NFL is focused on one thing. It's $1 billion cash cow, and they're focused on getting this $1 billion game going. But even with the players are like, wait a second, what protocols do we have? Notice the players that are saying something else, the players that are making the money. The players that are not making a lot of money aren't saying anything because they haven't made enough money to warrant the type of audience that the other players have. So I'm really curious to see. NFL really has no answers, and if they have, they haven't given it to anybody. So I'm curious to see how this all shakes down.
Yeah. One of the things that I think about, especially since this came out, and this is something that I've just been asking before this, but now I think it poses the question even more with having this pushback. And if we continue to have this pushback, the league and the players don't come to terms, because that's something that they're not coming to terms on. And could we possibly see the season be delayed, not start on time? Could it even go further than that, depending on, coming to terms? And, we had, like they're saying, 72 test positive, and when we continue to have those test positive, more players, and how it's affecting their teams. Could we maybe even see, kind of what we saw with baseball? Maybe not. The season come to a halt, or I hate to say this, but maybe not have a season, depending how all this plays out. Could we go to that extent?
It's all a question mark. I mean, let's just be honest. It's all a question mark. We don't know.
Because as much as we think and we say that because it's the NFL, they're going to do what they have to do to, start their season, play their season, and not be affected by any of these challenges occurring now, and, see it through the Super Bowl. But if we see more and more of this and it's coming to light, that keeps coming up for me, is like those questions resurface, and it's now we're seeing it.
Exactly.
So We shall see.
It's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is. And another interesting thing is, and I'm just bringing this up on you, a little impromptu here, but don't you think Robbie Ray is going to be so interesting, as well as the Diamondbacks this season? Like, Robbie Ray said that this is the best he's ever felt. Torrey agrees. His teammates agree. Like, this could be the season for Robbie Ray.
Yeah, and he has good rapport with his catchers, and they seem like there's a real trust level. I think it all sounds great. I really, truly do. I just want to see games. And I want to be as positive as I can with this. I just want to see games and see what happens, because Robbie Ray could be on the verge of having a real breakout year. Mad Bomb could be on the verge of having a real great breakout year. I just want to see how all this – see, here's the thing this year, CEO. There's with the devil in the air, I'm so leery on so many things. You know what I mean? It's like you want to think positive, and then you turn on anything, or you'll get a text or a tweet from MLB, or you see something in your inbox, and it's so-and-so test positive. So-and-so tapped out. So-and-so changed their mind. So-and-so is having lingering thoughts. And when that happens, you got to wonder how that's not only impacting the league, but how it's impacting other players. And players look across lines. They see things that's happening in other leagues. And so they're trying to control what they can control. And I think I've heard that now about 30 times from athletes from MLB, NBA, WNBA. You know, we've seen the calls. We've been on the calls. We've heard them say the same thing. And I love that Robbie Ray is looking great, and I love that he's going to be ready to go. I just want to now see all of it translate. The Diamondbacks are doing the right things. Yesterday they gave everyone a day off. All the position players, they're trying their best to move forward in this crazy time that we're having, and I think they have the right person in Troy Lavello to get them there. And when you have a guy like a Robbie Ray who can be a real, real special pitcher, telling you that he feels that good, telling you he has good rapport with his catcher or catchers, and then you have a Carson Kelly come on, one of the catchers, and you know, co-sign on that and talk about how great he looks. And like you said, same with Torrey, that could, if they could pull this crazy thing off, if these crazy kids can make this work, that can only be a good thing, because Robbie Ray is an incredible pitcher. And that's going to be an incredible staff that they're going to have coming out there to attack people. Robbie Ray, a sharp Robbie Ray that can give you 4 or 5 innings to start this thing off. Now, if you can just get your bullpen to follow up, that should be a good outing every time he comes to the mound.
Yeah, he's just looking so sharp. The other day, he was just, on fire. So especially that this, he's up, to sign another year or, extend a contract or may, go to another team. There's a lot at play for Robbie Ray this season. So if this comes out to be his breakout year, that only puts him in an even better place.
I agree, but you know what? Here's the problem, though. Let's say he has a terrific 50 games, and the devil shuts this thing down, COVID-19. And experts are saying November, December may be even worse, because not only will we have the devil lurking out there, but the flu season will roll around. I don't know right now and this is something I was actually going to talk to you about later. I was talking to someone earlier who said, a different league, who said that they cover a different league, who said a lot of GMs right now, a lot of owners right now are not motivated to sign anybody, anything, any extensions until they know what's going to happen the following year. Because if they sign anything or any extensions, the contracts are going to be loaded with a whole bunch of what ifs. And so, that there's a lot of, with there being so many unknowns out there, if you notice in baseball, I want you to think about this. Since they're back in, I love the summer camp take. Now that they're back in summer camp, who signed an extension so far? On any team that's big and notable. No one. Owners aren't signing extensions now. They don't know what's going on. They're not going to guarantee any money. Players that know what's going on. Hell, this could be big. What if a player that lives in Florida where there's, outbreak after outbreak, what if the money's good but they don't want to live in Florida where there's outbreak after outbreak after outbreak? Too much is going on. There's one league that's pretending like nothing is happening, and they're signing contracts, and that's football. What is the one thing that football has that's different from baseball, from basketball? Non-guaranteed contracts. When you sign on that line in baseball and basketball, you're signing a guaranteed deal. So the only way you don't see any of your money is if there's just no season. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of your money. What was the one thing baseball was haggling with that took so long to get their season back? They were haggling with the money, what the owners would pay, how much did the owners really want to pay. You didn't hear that from basketball, and you definitely aren't hearing that from football. So I don't think I think everything right now is the wait-and-see mode. Let's wait and see how the season goes. Let's wait and see how this player performs. Now we get through, wait and see how they perform. They perform great. Wait and see how the season goes. Great. We completed it. We finished it. Now, what's up with this devil that's out here flying in the air? I think all that is going to come into take before anyone, especially on an ownership level or at the Mike Hazen level, before they get into a contract. And then you got to remember this too. Players are about to negotiate for a new – it's time to renegotiate all of their contracts. Owners are going to be so less likely to pay people when they don't even know if there's going to be baseball from a health issue or a strike issue or a lockout issue. You have A-Rod who's looking to buy the Mets saying maybe it's time to put a cap in. You don't think the players are going to push back on that? I don't think you're going to see a lot of signings by anybody. So as much as Robbie Ray is going to pitch for a new contract, which he should, to set him and his family up forever, I don't think anyone's going to be interested in negotiating a contract with so many what-ifs hanging out there. Yeah.
You jumped right into my next question I was going to have because, yes, we have a sprint of a season, 60 games, and how much of a benefit or disadvantage this would be for Robbie Ray, not only Robbie Ray, but for everybody else, anybody else, any player in the league, versus, this full season. Especially if they're having a great season and they're showcasing, especially in the moment that Robbie is in now, potentially being one of the best seasons he's had in his career and up for a contract, being a free agent, whether he would stay with the Diamondbacks or go elsewhere. How much different would it be now, a sprint of a season that we're having now versus a full season? The benefits and the disadvantage of it all. And we just touched on on most of it. So, and a lot of it is, yes, it's the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And I think the situation that we're being faced with right now with all these challenges, being in the middle of a pandemic, I think it's going to change many things for baseball.
It's going to change many things for a lot of things. It's going to change a lot.